Hello, everybody, again, and welcome to another Wednesday Night Fightback. And we're going to start with a puzzler, William. What is the SDP doing wrong? Every other party has seen fit to decapitate, depose, and ban their former leaders. And here, since the general election, or in fact, get them arrested. And here we are with the same leader. Is it just that you're hiding the evidence very well, or are we just a very soft party?
Well, I think actually the real reason is that losing a national election when you've got 20 candidates is not a sackable offence. Anyway, I mean, I suppose that it brings the wider question of just the state of the establishment parties now, which is really what we want to talk about, isn't it, this week? The state of the national parties. And you're going through, I suppose, in a way, the usual thing with Labour, which is a series of purges. You've either got the left in control, Momentum and Corbyn, and that they took control and purged the right. The right didn't get a look in. And now you have the right, you have the Blairites back in with their neoliberal economics, and they're purging the left. Corbyn, a man who Starmer said was his friend, and he campaigned to have this man lead our country, and suddenly he's not good enough to be in the party and he's actually kicked out. And then actually in the northeast where I am, very recently you've had the North Tyne mayor, the Labour North Tyne mayor, who is on the left, Jamie Driscoll, who has been banned from the shortlist for the next mayoral election. So it's a proper, it's in Labour, it's a proper purge. They roll up their sleeves. But for the poor old public, of course, you've got these massive parties that are real incoherent coalitions, and you don't know what you're voting for.
Well, I think that's the thing, isn't it? I think these professional politicians, I noticed incidentally they're now trying to ban Boris from even standing for Parliament, which seems to me to be a new sort of pride's purge level of democratic interference. But I think the point is that for these established parties, they think the really big question about politics is who gets to rule, who gets to be in number 10. And the point about democratic politics is not that. The point of democratic politics is what's the best thing to do. And these guys spend no time at all challenging bad ideas and trying to put in place better ideas of what to do, instead of which they just squabble like rats in a sack.
Yeah, I think there's a lot in that. I think also we're looking at a phenomenon where probably over the last 40, 50 years, power has seeped away from Parliament, and a lot of members of Parliament, politicians know they don't really have power. A lot of journalists have power, and big money has power. And consequently, you get a sort of class of political pygmies who are there just to really enrich themselves. And that's the worst aspect. There's no philosophy there. I've met lots of conservatives. There are some good ones, but in general, I've met plenty Tories who, it's exactly what you say. It's just the purpose is to get power. Johnson was like that. The purpose is to be top, to be king. And we're not really sure what we want, but anyway, we're going to do it.
But at a time when the established policies that have been pursued over the last 40 years have clearly delivered us into a fairly disastrous state, surely the time now and the role for democracy is to find better solutions and get them done. No sign of that at all from the major parties. So we're going to have this election in the next year. And you can already tell it's not going to matter who wins.
I don't think it does. I honestly, genuinely don't. I honestly don't think it matters. When Corbyn was around, you could say, someone that was as hostile to the British state, probably philosophically, as he wouldn't be a good idea. But, does Rachel Reeves hold any concerns for you over Hunt? Not really.
Anyway, they've drafted in Sue Gray to be there basically to tell Starmer what to do, and you can bet the life of you she's going to scare the living daylights out of any Labour minister who wants to do anything other than what the civil servants want them to do.
Well, that's my real gripe with Labour. So we've had a few words about the Tories. My real gripe with Labour is that all of the ideas of public ownership or anything a little bit more radical, which I think is needed, desperately needed, has been eradicated now. It's been sidelined. So listen to what Starmer says now, and you realise you're going to get this awful managerial type of sort of neoliberal Blairism continuity, and continuity of what has failed is just a mistake. Perhaps we should finish when we're talking about the establishment parties. There is an establishment party just north of the border here, and that you know, the former leader of that party has now been arrested, Sturgeon being arrested. So again, it's probably no better there, probably worse.
Is she fleeing in a motorhome?
Who knows? Well, at least she's got wheels. Yes, she's going mobile. Yeah, they'd probably track her, I think. She probably wouldn't get away with that. But it's no better there. I mean, part of my theory might have been that the solution is, the problem is partly systemic in that we have a two-party system. So you have these huge, great monolith parties, incoherent, and the solution might be PR. So at least you can get what you vote for. But you know, a lot of people aren't that. I mean, I think it's a core SDP policy, and I always fight for it. But I'm not sure that. I think the problem goes deeper than that. It's cultural, isn't it?
Yeah, as you know, I'm completely against proportional representation, because it just guarantees that the third party will have excessive power, and you'll get policies that nobody voted for. But you know, we can do political assassinations later on that issue if you like.
Well, no, Michael, it's nice that we've got back on track with disagreeing with each other.
I know it's been a pretty tough couple of weeks. You know,
it has. Yeah, well, let's get back on track.
Anyway, so I think we both agree that the established parties are a bunch of utter tossers. Britain is in a state they're not going to do anything about it. There is no actual real policy choice being given by the major parties. It will be more of the same.
At the forthcoming Uxbridge and South Ruislip by-election, the public will actually have a choice in the form of Stephen Gardiner, who will be our candidate, and he's a good local man, ex-military, and at least we can argue for the case there, and people have an option. Right,
that's great. So anyone who's listening to this video who is within cycling distance or busing distance of the constituency, get yourself down there, deliver leaflets, knock on doors, and let's get as many votes as we can for a genuine alternative.
Yep, let's do it. Take care. Cheers, Michael.